6 months later, this hasn't happened yet. If the refinery closes, then thousands of jobs will be lost and Scotland's national security will become massively weaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In the general election campaign, Labour leadership promised that if we won, we would step in and save the Grangemouth refinery, retain those jobs and invest in its future.
Ever watched a politician get completely dismantled in Parliament? That's exactly what happened when an MP left Keir Starmer visibly shaken after exposing his broken promises to the Waspi women and pensioners facing fuel poverty this winter. In this video, I'm breaking down the firestorm moment by moment, from the MP's masterclass in political dissection to Starmer's inability to defend his record. You'll see exactly why Labour's leader was left gasping for air as his political identity was systematically torn apart. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Now that we are in power, I know that the government should use it to intervene and save the refinery jobs, protect Scotland and deliver on the promise to build Grangemouth for the future.
What if everything Keir Starmer presented to the British public was nothing more than carefully crafted political theatre? The parliamentary speech that unfolded recently wasn't just another day of debate. It was a systematic dismantling of Starmer's credibility as Labour leader, laying bare the chasm between his polished promises and the harsh reality of his governance. When Starmer stood before voters during his campaign, he painted himself as a champion of justice and fairness. Among his most emphatic pledges was support for the Waspi women, those affected by state pension age changes who have fought tirelessly for recognition and compensation. Yet now, with the power to make good on those commitments, Starmer's government has fallen conspicuously silent. The MP's fiery parliamentary address cut through the political fog with surgical precision, exposing what they described as a pattern of empty words and broken promises. Rather than fighting for these women who've been denied justice for years, Starmer has reportedly abandoned them entirely, a betrayal all the more crushing because it came after explicit assurances of support. Perhaps even more damning was the MP's spotlight on Starmer's apparent indifference toward pensioners struggling with winter fuel poverty. While elderly citizens make impossible choices between heating and eating, the Labour leader seems more concerned with political manoeuvring and media appearances than addressing their urgent needs. The contrast between Starmer's warm rhetoric and cold reality couldn't be starker. An empty suit was how the MP characterised Starmer, a devastating assessment suggesting a politician who presents well in controlled environments but crumbles when faced with difficult decisions requiring moral courage. The accusation strikes at the heart of Starmer's carefully cultivated image as a principled leader. To illustrate Labour's broader governance failures under Starmer's watch, the MP pointed to Birmingham City Council's financial collapse. As the UK's second largest city effectively declared bankruptcy under Labour control, the MP questioned how Starmer could credibly position himself to lead the nation when he couldn't even ensure proper management of a major city. This wasn't just about Birmingham, it was presented as a preview of what might await Britain under Starmer's leadership. With each example methodically presented, the chamber fell increasingly silent. MPs from all parties appeared stunned as the critique built to its devastating conclusion, exposing not just individual broken promises, but a pattern of behaviour that suggests a fundamental betrayal of public trust. As the chamber sat in stunned silence, an even more damaging accusation emerged, one that struck at the very foundation of Starmer's political identity. behind the polished exterior of this former Director of Public Prosecutions lurks a fundamental inability to connect with the very people he claims to champion. The MP methodically exposed how Starmer's privileged background created an unbridgeable gulf between his reality and that of ordinary Britons. From 2008 to 2013, while Starmer built his career as DPP in the rarefied air of legal chambers, families across Britain were grappling with austerity and economic hardship, experiences entirely foreign to his professional trajectory. Perhaps most damning was the MP's spotlight on Starmer's refusal to address the two-child benefit cap. This policy, which limits financial support for larger families, continues to push vulnerable households deeper into poverty. The MP painted a vivid picture of parents skipping meals to feed their children while Starmer seemingly remains indifferent to their plight, preoccupied instead with maintaining his carefully crafted political image. Build back better, Green New Deal, fair economy. The MP systematically dismantled these hollow phrases from Starmer's economic platform, revealing them as nothing more than empty slogans devoid of concrete action plans. Where are the specific policies to address stagnant wages? How exactly will he tackle the cost of living crisis? The chamber watched as the MP exposed the Emperor's new clothes, rhetorical flourishes without substance. The critique grew more cutting as the MP highlighted Starmer's reluctance to make controversial decisions that might jeopardise his relationships with powerful figures, while ordinary citizens struggle with impossible choices between heating and eating. Starmer apparently calculates which positions will best preserve his standing with elites rather than which will best serve working communities. On the housing crisis, an issue devastating millions, the MP characterised Starmer's approach as little more than a wishful thinking exercise rather than a viable roadmap to affordable homes. The growing discomfort was visible on Starmer's face as these accusations landed one after another, each seemingly striking closer to truth than the last. Throughout this blistering critique, Starmer shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his usual composed demeanour cracking under the weight of these piercing observations. His inability to formulate substantive rebuttals spoke volumes, more damning perhaps than any words could have been. The parliamentary dismantling we've witnessed today goes far beyond typical political skirmishes. This MP's systematic deconstruction of Starmer's political identity has left him exposed as a leader who's abandoned Labour's fundamental principles. The speech revealed a man wearing the trappings of leadership while failing to embody its substance. What we've seen may well represent a watershed moment. As Starmer sat visibly shaken, unable to counter these damning accusations, voters across Britain were left wondering. If this is how easily his political facade crumbles under scrutiny, what hope does he have of standing firm against the real challenges facing the nation? The verdict seems clear. Starmer's days of pretending to lead are numbered.